Hi, I'm Jan Risher, and I'm excited, happy, and a little bit nervous to be talking to you today about the East Baton Rouge Parish Library's One Book, One Community Read this year. It is different. It's not just a book that you read, it is a book that you can actually do. It's called Tasting History by Max Miller, and if you are a YouTube aficionado, you will probably be familiar with Max Miller because he has 2.2 million followers on YouTube. He takes recipes and he tries to figure out historical recipes, how they were made. It opens, funnily enough, to the recipe for mead, which is what we are going to try and bottle today. I've been making mead for a solid week. This recipe is the oldest recipe, and it's for the stew of lamb, and it is from Babylon from 1740 BC, and he used instructions that say from that era. It says, stew of lamb, meat is used, you prepare water, you add fat, you add fine grained salt, riznatu, onion, Persian shallot, and milk. You crush and add leek and garlic, and that's the whole recipe that he based this on. And so, rather than try to reconstruct it as he would have, as they would have in 1740 BC, he has figured out ways to use the modern kitchen and to create a recipe that is very similar tasting to the one that they would have eaten back then. Of course, everything about it is an educated guess. You can't be certain. I did my best to make an educated guess on the making of mead, including finding an earthenware container for it to ferment in. So mead is basically water and honey. Many of you will know that the word honey in a lot of other languages is med or some form of med. And basically you take spring water that isn't processed a whole lot but is pure, and you boil it. I took, for my recipe, I took the one that Max recommends. I took a gallon of spring water, a quart of honey, so that's 1/4 of, the ratio is 4:1 water to honey, so that's still a lot of honey. And I boiled the water, added the honey, brought it to a boil for 5 minutes, and then I had to let it cool. I had to let it cool to the temperature that it could handle the yeast, because yeast, of course, is part of the important fermenting process. And mead was consumed for millennia as one of the primary beverages because it was, safe to drink. It wasn't particularly alcoholic. It's rather a precursor to beer. And this mead has only been fermenting for 1 week. So, of course you don't get a lot of alcohol that. I have not tasted it. I have used a chopstick to stir it every day because the recipe explains that you're supposed to remove the scum from the top of it. And so I did every day. Well, actually, when it was boiling, some scum came to the top. I don't know that we would call it scum, but that's what they called it in the Middle Ages. And so I took that off the top, and this has been covered with a cloth for a solid week in this earthenware vessel that my friend April let me borrow because I didn't have one that was big enough. And this is what it looks like. So every day I have stirred it twice with a sterilized chopstick, and that kind of, otherwise there was just all that yeasty stuff at the top. So now I have been sterilizing bottles back over here behind us, and I've taken one out that I've already sterilized, and we will actually put the mead into that bottle. And then I learned all sorts of things while I was doing this. After we put it in the bottle, we put this on the top of the bottle. I guess it goes like that. This is called a bubbler, and it allows the air to go out so the bottle won't explode, but it keeps it clean without stuff going in. So actually, apparently it goes like this. The library is hosting their kickoff party at the Goodwood Library, and they have all sorts of fun activities. In fact, Max Miller himself will be coming to Baton Rouge later, and he'll be demonstrating some recipes and talking to readers. The library has, I believe, more than 200 copies of the book available for you to check out, and as of today, an unlimited number of ebooks for you to check out. So it's a lot of fun. Come join me in the madness, make some mead or something else. So now we're going to bottle the mead. So I knew I needed some glass bottles for the mead, and I was at the Trash and Treasure sale. I was planning to order some, but I got this beautiful glass bottle that says something in German, it appears, probably some German beer. And so we're going to use it. I'm going to use this little scooper from my English castles, and I'm going to use that funnel, and it needs to set, so you see it's very bubbly. It needs to rest in these bottles for at least 2 or 3 days before you drink with the bubbler in place. But I am going to taste it here in just a minute to see what it tastes like. Ooh. Ooh. There's a little bit of the yeasty residue in here. I'm trying to, it says to avoid adding that to these bottles. Okie dokie, we are done with our bottling of the mead, and we shall see what happens in the next 2 or 3 days. But all in all, 2 enthusiastic thumbs up for my first adventure making mead. I can't wait to see how my friends like it, frankly. I hope that you'll join us for reading Max Miller's Tasting History. The library has lots and lots of copies. If you don't have your library card, go down to the East Baton Rouge Parish Library and get yourself one. All you need is like a local address proof on your driver's license. I think you can also take like a bill or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert on that part. But go get yourself a library card if you don't have one. Read Max Miller's Tasting History, even if you don't make anything, which I really hope you'll do. There are some simple recipes, lots more simple than this one, that you can try, and can learn all sorts of things. Actually, the book covers 4,000 years of history of recipes. So have fun tasting history.